So hi, I'm Sam Prestonbach. I am your coach, your friend, and I am going to encourage you to make some magic. So, as we work through this quarantine, I decided to do what I do best. And in hard times, I hit back harder, okay? When I am forced to reflect on certain things or forced to be in a certain situation of life, I ask why and what can I do with it? And I want you to do the same thing too. So, after being in quarantine for a few weeks, I was already working on my health. I have 4 kids, ages 12, 9, 4, and 8 months, okay? And I have been working on my health for a really long time. And it goes in ebbs and flows just like anyone else. It doesn't matter that I used to be a personal trainer. It doesn't matter that I used to own a gym. It doesn't matter that I've ran many half marathons, even one recently when I was just 3 months postpartum. It doesn't matter that I own a set of weights and a squat rack. Guess what? Health and fitness and being consistent and focusing on my why is just as hard for me as anyone else. Because I have help doesn't make it any easier either. I still have to focus myself and my energy and my motivation to make sure that I'm doing the things that are best for my body and to make sure that I know on the deepest level why, okay? And that was one of the most messed up things about my past as a personal trainer. The why was really only pain associated, and it was very externally based. So that meant, quite simply, I didn't like how I looked. I didn't like how I looked in my jeans. I didn't like how I looked in my bathing suit. I didn't like how I looked in shorts. I didn't like how I looked in tank tops. And it was all very negative, okay? And after years and years of chasing that goal and chasing a number for that reason, I was exhausted. And there was something that I became very good at, though, and that was at chasing a certain body weight and leanness for events. So for a whole season of my life, quite honestly, probably about a decade, if I didn't have a carrot, a place to go, something I wanted to look good in that was ahead of me, I wasn't at my best. And what that meant was I didn't have a strong why. So as I had baby after baby after baby, and I experienced life after life after life after life, my motivation to become healthy became stronger and stronger. Why? Because it wasn't just the physical struggle anymore. It wasn't just the external pain, it was the internal. When I had 4 kids, I need the energy to keep up with them. As I decided that I wanted to achieve bigger goals with my husband, I needed the energy and clarity to focus on that. And it became beyond obvious, as I am now in my late 30s, that if I don't feed my body well and if I don't move my body well, those things will not come into balance. So I had already come to this conclusion prior to quarantine, but the quarantine helped me see that I have a unique opportunity right now to focus that much more on creating health for myself now and in the long run. But I also have a unique opportunity to speak to you, to tell you that you have the same opportunity as me. For once, for the first time in history, all of us are in the same situation. We are here in our homes. We are working from home. We have got kids at home, many of us, and we have been given the gift of time and focus. If you choose to take the remote and turn the TV off for a second and ask yourself, what are the most basic goals you've always had for yourself? that you've yet to fully achieve. So I started last week with a basic goal that many people would have thought that I have achieved, but I haven't fully yet. And that is to start creating my long-term health now. You see, I have the goal to be that 80, 90, 100-year-old woman, however long the Lord will allow me to live, that, you can laugh at this, not only can feed herself and wipe her own butt, but I can literally run up mountains. And you see, you guys, I moved from Louisiana to Arizona 2 years ago because Harold and I wanted to live in a place where we looked out our windows and saw 360 views of mountains, and we do. But I want to run up those mountains. And if I want to do that then, I have to start working on it now. Which made me take a big gulp because I am 8 months postpartum. And even though I have done a half since having the baby, I have not exactly been running up mountains. And I need to have the muscle. My body needs to have more lean body muscle mass to be able to be active longer. Now, in the short term, what that means is that I will also have more energy. I will have more energy for myself to do the things that I want to do. I'll have more energy for my kids. I'll have more energy for my husband. And here's a big thing right now in a time where this is a super weird season that everyone's going through. I will reduce anxiety and increase the calm. And honestly, it was all important to me, but one of the biggest things was to stay ahead of the calm and to create more calm each and every day, because we can't step into the drama and make it better. I decided that one thing I was going to do in the next couple weeks is that I'm going to work on habit stacking. And that's when you take one thing that's really important to you, you create some consistency with it, and you do this over a stretch of a certain amount of time, and then you add another habit to it, and you create consistency, you get used to it, and you do that over a certain amount of time, and then you add another one. So you're catching a theme? So we do habit stacking, okay? So what I really wanted to get consistent with for just the love of being consistent and for once not being event focused was actually working out, okay? I do like to work out. I like to lift weights. I like to run. Obviously, I've been doing this for almost like half of my life now. But I'd always done it for very just shallow reasons. Now that my intentions are so more deeply connected to just living a really great life, it's become easier to desire those things, but not easy to do. So my goal this past week was actually to have 7 days of specific activity, okay? So that meant that I was going to choose activity that was going to move me closer to my end goal of having more lean muscle mass and having strong cardiovascular and strong legs to be able to run up mountains. So I'm blessed to live in a place where our road is actually on the upwards transition of a mountain, okay? As well as if we take about a 10-minute drive, we have one of the steepest mountains we can actually hike, okay? So I set the goal for myself to run up our road, which is literally all the way up, and with as little breaks as I could, at least 3 times last week. And then I also had a goal of once that week hiking that very steep mountain called Black Mountain. And then also in the days in between, lifting weights so that I can start putting more lean muscle mass on my body. So you see, none of this actually had anything to do with weight loss. Although it will help me in the future, it had more to do with how I want it to feel than how I want to look and how I want to be versus how I want to look. Even though it'll affect it, it wasn't the most important thing to me then. So here's what you want to do. What I had to do was say these 6 things. I had to decide what my goal was. I had to then set the strategy. I have 4 kids. at the end of the day might seem like a great time to get that in or in naps, but the reality is I have very little energy towards the end of the day, and that my body and brain want to relax. So even though I'm nursing an 8-month-old baby still through the night, the actual best time for me to do this is first thing in the morning. And so I got up. I set my alarm to get up 30 minutes earlier than I've already been getting up, which is usually between 5:30 a.m. and 6 a.m. And I started getting up at 5 a.m. so I could start my morning routine a little bit earlier and get out the door earlier for my workout, even though it's just at my home. I allowed for buffer. So in reality, what happened was I had 5 days of working out. But do you see, because I set my goal for the stars, so to speak, I landed at the moon. So I set my goal for 7 days, but in reality, I got 5 days, which was way more than I was getting, because in the beginning, sometimes it's okay to set your sights on small goals, but you have to decide, when is it time to set the big goal, the one that scares you? And guys, that was then. That goal scared me because I was struggling with working out just 2 to 3 times a week. So to say I was going to do 7 was huge. But do you see what happened? I landed at 5, okay? And then you're going to learn and refine. So once you do that, you're going to assess how you feel and the results. And you're going to see what actually is a good long-term plan. You see, 7 days a week was not actually a good long-term plan, but it allowed me to assess what my body and mind actually need. And 5 days was excellent. Then the results were actually, you know what? The scale moved about a pound, which is fine. But you know what excited me the most? My clothes are looser. I have been able to put on some pre-pregnancy shorts and stuff. They don't button yet, but prior to just a few weeks ago, they didn't even go over my hips. Then you have to realize sometimes some things are gonna have to give, but sometimes not, okay? So last week, even though I still did really great in my nutrition, I was almost 100% on my plan that I follow. I didn't track it every single day. One of my goals was also to track it. But because I had to put so much energy and focus into getting my activity in, because I wasn't used to getting activity in that level, that habit gave a little bit. So that's the very important thing about habit stacking, is it allows you to focus on one thing for a short amount of a time, and then to get used to that, and then you can bring the other one back in. But because I've already gained momentum with nutrition tracking, that's the next thing for me to add to this activity, all right? Because I've made space, it's all going to fit together. So as we wrap this up, here was the end result. Working out consistently for 5 days and shooting for the 7, it increased my energy through the roof. Whereas my energy was actually usually crashing just around lunchtime, I found my energy was staying longer sustained up all the way to around 3 or 4 p.m. I had increased mental focus, so I was able to kind of lay out an agenda for the day and then actually execute most of it. I was a much more calm mom, and this is one of the most important things to me. At the end of the day, once I've taken care of the family and I've taken care of business and I've taken care of me, the last thing I want to do is snap at my kids. But we all find ourselves in that situation. And so do you realize that there's things that you can physically do for yourself that make you a calmer, more present mom, husband, wife, dad, sister, friend, whatever it is that you want to be, daughter and son? The relationships you have in your life, when we choose to treat our bodies well and have a positive focus about doing that, it affects more than just your physical body, which is amazing, but it's going to positively impact your relationships. So week 1 of the Quarantine Project was a huge success, and here's how I plan to move forward in that. Is continuing to focus on getting activity in at least 5 out of 7 days a week and doing the things that are going to help me reach my goal. And next week, I am rolling into nutritional tracking after months of working on this, I have finally found a really great rhythm. And guys, I did film a full day of eating and nutrition yesterday because I knew that 100% of you were going to say that you wanted that. So I've already filmed it. I'm going to put that together on TikTok. You can go follow me there. And I also will share it here for you to see too. All right, guys, have a blessed day and start your quarantine project, okay?